This exotic is kinda mid, but if you build into it, it can become really strong. So I made a build that works on every character to make Slayer's Fang deal a lot more damage, keep you alive easily, and blow everything up at the same time. And stick around to the end of the video for some secret perks this weapon has, but doesn't tell you anywhere in the game. I'm Marshix, and I make videos on a dying game. If you enjoy, all I ever ask for is just a like down below. First off, let's go over how Slayer's Fang works. This is a Void Slug shotgun that shatters into sub-munitions, and getting a kill with this will give you a buff called Night Sworn Sight. While you have this buff, this weapon will deal more damage, give you true sight to see enemies through walls, give you increased reload speed, and all of the sub-munitions will weaken everything they hit. Since these bounce around a lot, you'll basically weaken everything around your target, including it, and you'll probably get a few kills without even trying. So weakening enemies is an essential part of this build, allowing us to deal more damage with all of our weapons, and triggering some other effects that I'll go over in a minute. Slayer's Fang also has built-in overload rounds to deal with overload champions, and it has 4 catalysts that you can unlock through the Kel's Fall mission: Repulsor Brace, Loose Change, Stats for All, and Cascade Point. All of these are decent options, but the best one by far is Repulsor Brace. This will give us an overshield each time we kill an enemy affected by a Void debuff, which will be very often since this applies Weaken with almost every shot, and we're going to build into it to make all the other debuffs way more common. But first, this video is sponsored by Factor. Factor offers great food that's ready to eat in only 2 minutes. You pick everything you want on their website, and in just a few days, you'll receive a box with all of your food. Factor meals are fresh, never frozen meals prepared by a chef to bring you top quality food, and they have all kinds of meals to choose from, with over 35 meal options every week and over 60 add-ons like breakfast, on-the-go lunches, snacks, and more. So there's something for everyone. They even have gourmet meals like this filet mignon. You won't find meals like this at the grocery store. And Factor is really convenient, especially for me. Whenever I'm in a raid, I just throw one of these in the microwave in between encounters, and by the time we get to the next room, my food's already done. If you want great food and you want to support my channel at the same time, you can try Factor right now, and if you use my link, you'll get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box just by using my link in the description or by scanning this QR code with your phone. If this looks good to you, give it a try, see if you like it, and if you don't, just cancel your subscription. But I know you'll love it. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. From here, we're going to look at the artifact because there are multiple things in here that enhance this exotic. These aren't absolutely mandatory for the build, but it does provide a good bit of synergy. That's my way of saying, use these if you can, but after the season ends, the build will still work, it'll just be a little bit different. First, we have Power from Pain. This will give us Devour each time we kill weakened combatants, and the boost will create Void Breaches. Since Slayer's Fang applies Weaken, this should activate a lot, meaning we can easily get Devour on any character. While you have Devour, kills will heal you and give you grenade energy. So not only will it help us stay alive, we'll also be able to throw a lot more grenades. We also have Void Renewal to create more Void Breaches while we have Devour, and the reasons we want Void Breaches is because of Supernova to create a pulse that weakens everything around you, and Old God's Right, which makes our Void weapon spawn a portal that rains down Void projectiles to deal more damage to our target. It's not like the damage is insane, but it definitely helps, especially if we can spawn a bunch of Void Breaches to use this as often as possible. Which brings us to our Subclass Fragments. All 3 classes are using similar setups with Echo of Harvest to create Orbs of Power and Void Breaches each time we kill a weakened target, and Echo of Starvation to give us Devour each time we pick up either an Orb of Power or Void Breach. So now we have a very easy source of Devour to keep us alive and give us faster grenades. These are also a little redundant because of the artifact, but a little redundancy is good, and this is what you'll have to use after the season ends anyway. We also want Echo of Persistence to keep Devour and Overshields for longer, and since Devour gives us faster grenades, we also have Echo of Instability to give our Void weapons volatile rounds to deal even more damage. And who doesn't love explosions? Speaking of weapons, we obviously have Slayer's Fang as our secondary weapon, but you'll also want a good Void weapon that can take advantage of Volatile, our Void armor mods, which I'll go over in a minute, and the artifact mods mentioned before. For this, I use Edge Transit with Envious Assassin and Bait and Switch, because it's not only good for damage, but it can also benefit from Concussive Reload in the artifact to apply Weaken to bosses, which makes it deal even more damage and activates all the other things that deal with Weaken. And besides that, choose whatever kinetic primary weapon that's best for the activity that you're doing. Now, this is where the build branches off into the 3 classes. So let's start with Titan. Titans will definitely want to run this with no backup plans. This will give you an overshield whenever you get kills with your shotgun, and while you have an overshield, your shotgun will deal 35% more damage, which is huge, especially when you stack this with 2 Void weapon surges on your boots. Together, these will result in over 55% more damage basically all the time. For the aspects, we're running Bastion to give us another source of overshields by placing our barricade. So between this, repulsor brace on our shotgun, and no backup plans, we should always have access to an overshield to maintain that damage buff. We also have offensive bulwark because it will also make our abilities regenerate faster while we have an overshield, which once again makes it easier to get grenade kills to activate Echo of Instability. Like I said before, we want 2 Void Weapon Surges to stack more damage on the Slayer's Fang, and since it is a special weapon, ammo can quickly become a problem, so we have Special Ammo Finder on our helmet to make more ammo bricks, Void Ammo Scavenger to get more ammo out of every brick, and Special Ammo Finisher to turn our armor charges into ammo just by using a finisher. Everything else mod-wise is completely up to you, or feel free to copy my mods. Now just get a couple shotgun kills to get Devour, an Overshield, a damage buff, another damage buff, and spawn Purple Rain, then throw a grenade to get volatile rounds, and nuke everything with your shotgun. Now, Warlocks are a little different. For the aspects, we have Feed the Void for another source of Devour by getting ability kills, and Child of the Old Gods to create this little Void Soul that applies Weaken to everything inside its circle. And it will drain everything inside the circle to give you grenade and melee energy. So this will create Void Breaches since it applies Weaken, and it allows you to throw more grenades for Echo of Instability. And we'll actually get it back relatively fast since Child actually gives us class ability energy, and Void Breaches will also give us class ability energy. Now, the exotic is something you probably wouldn't expect, but trust me, it's really nice to have. Mantle of Battle Harmony. While your super is full, kills with void weapons will instantly give us 4 void weapon surges, lasting for 10 seconds. This is a 25% damage buff, and if you remember, Slayer's Fang needs a kill to activate its Night Sight anyway, so you don't have to go out of your way to use Battle Harmony, and you'll always have it when it matters most. The only downside is you need to have your super full for this to work, but once you have the buff, you'll have it for that full 10 seconds. So if you ever need to use your super, just make sure you refresh the buff beforehand. Since Battle Harmony takes the place of weapon surges, we aren't going to run those on our boots, which means we can run other things like Recuperation or Better Already to keep us alive, Innervation for even faster grenades, and Void Scavenger and the other special ammo mods to make sure we can use Slayer's Fang as often as possible. Now just get a kill to get 2 damage buffs, throw a grenade to get volatile rounds, then DPS with either your shotgun or heavy weapon, and towards the end of the phase, you can pop your super for an extra burst of damage. But if you don't like Battle Harmony, another exotic you could pair with this is Controverse Hold. This will give you much faster grenades to give you more consistent volatile rounds, but you will be sacrificing a little bit of damage for it. Instead of getting 4 weapon surges from this exotic, you'll only be able to run 2 weapon surges on your boots, which is about 10% less damage. But regardless, it's still pretty good. Just don't forget to swap out Child of the Old Gods with Chaos Accelerant, or else Controverse does literally nothing. Hunters are a lot different from the other classes because we have access to Stylish Executioner. This will turn us invisible whenever we kill a debuff target, which includes everything we weaken with our shotgun. So just get a kill to get Night Sight, and just about every kill from there on will turn you invisible. Now, this pairs really nicely with Gerfalcons. This will give us volatile rounds each time we emerge from invisibility, and since we go invisible with every kill, this creates an infinite loop that results in infinite volatile and infinite invisibility. Now, because this gives us volatile, we don't really need Echo of Instability, so we're going to swap that out for Echo of Cessation to make more Void Breaches more often, which once again gives us Devour, activates the Void Rain in our artifact, and activates one of those secret perks that I'll go over in a minute. The other aspect is completely up to you, whichever way you prefer to go invis. And the mods are basically the same as the Titan. 2 Void Weapon Surges for a damage buff, a Siphon mod to make Orbs of Power, and Void Scavenger, Special Ammo Finder, and Special Ammo Finisher for more consistent ammo drops so you can actually use the thing we're building around. Now, as I mentioned before, Slayer's Fang has 2 secret perks that aren't stated anywhere on the gun. I originally saw this from It's the Dub Gaming, so shout out to him. The first perk will automatically give you Nightsworn Sight anytime you pick up a Void Breach, which, as you saw before, we're making a lot of Void Breaches with all of our abilities, so maintaining this buff should be even easier than it already was. The other secret allows teammates to give you Nightsworn Sight. If you're near a teammate who's also using this exotic, all of their kills will give you the buff, meaning if just 1 or 2 people are running this on your team, you'll probably never lose Nightsworn Sight. Overall, these builds are really strong. They give you easy access to Devour and Overshields for survivability. They give easy access to Volatile, one more than others. They give you multiple ways to buff your damage and debuff enemies to deal even more damage on top of that, and it can easily deal with champions. These builds are not S tier like some of our prismatic builds, but they will get you through most content very easily, and it's just really fun to use. Now that you have these awesome builds, you'll want to check out this video where I made one build for all 45 Titan exotics. Thanks for watching, I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget to try Factor using my link to get a great deal on great food.